They're all so sweet. God wrote our story. I mean, I know he wrote everyone's story, but wait till you hear our story. The first time Erik ever heard me speak was when I was late for a ministry meeting led by Bill Jones. Unbeknownst to me, and I'm always late, unbeknownst to me, Erik was one of 3 new seminary students that Bill had invited to be mentored by him that year. So I burst through the door at the front of the room, dressed in an old-fashioned costume because it was old-fashioned supper day at the church, and why not? I spotted my friend Johanna from Finland, and my major was biblical languages, but I just liked all languages, and basically I liked communicating, so I tried to say something to someone from any country at all, and anything that I knew how to say. So I said to Johanna, "Minä rakastan sinua." This new blonde guy whips his head around and says, "How do you know how to say that?" And I said, "How do you know what I said?" Because no one knows Finnish. And he said, "I'm Finnish." I'm like, "I'm Lysa." That's how they know. I mean, that was God showing off. 4 months later, after working together at my mission organization with Bill, I was just so impressed with his passion for the Lord, and I invited him to come with me as one of my leaders on a mission trip I was leading over Christmas break for about 2.5 weeks, and I asked him to be my evangelism leader and my worship leader. And that was when, on that trip, like a bolt of lightning, God changed the way we looked at each other, because I literally hadn't even noticed him before that, except for his passion for God, but that was it. And we did not discuss how we felt about each other the whole trip, but you could feel it. And if the missionary from that trip were here, he would say, "Amen." He waited until the end of the trip, and then he invited me to go for a walk on Lover's Beach. And there he told me that he had watched me minister, and he could honestly say that I had a heart of gold. And that's just not something that people say to Lysa Wysong usually. They usually say, "You're so spunky." So much fun. And that's still one of my favorite compliments I've ever received. Then he went on for 2 more hours to tell me lots of other over-the-top things. But the gist of his speech was that he had been praying for 3 years for a godly wife. And he said, "I used to pray for a wife that would complete me and support me and love me. And then I realized that that was a selfish way to look at love. And then I began to pray for a wife to come alongside me as a partner in ministry so that we could be a team and accomplish a lot for God. But that was also not quite right. Because then God showed me that if marriage is a picture of Jesus' love for all of you, all of the people that he created, then I would look for a wife that I could serve. I would look for a wife that I could sacrifice for. Jesus loved all of us so much that he went to the point of dying on the cross so that we could live. He paid the penalty for our disobedience. And Lysa, I would die for you." And that is how Erik Lytikainen first told me he liked me. I know there's no shock on your face, Jeff. Erik never stopped loving me like a bright hot flame. And anyone who's been around us for more than 2 minutes knows that no wife was ever more loved than I was. He was a little bit obsessed, but I didn't mind. And he never loved me in spite of myself. He loved me because of myself. The more Lysa I was, the more he loved it. And I can be a lot. Erik loved our kids with the same fierce intensity. He loved to say, "You are my best friends." And he was so proud of them, and he would have fought dragons for them. "Johnny, he saw your loyalty and your strength, and he cheered as he watched you become a true man of God. You are a Finn like him. He loved you, Gracie girl. And he was so thankful that God brought you into our family. And if he were here, he would say, 'So cute.'" And KK, he marveled at your grace, your beauty, your rich faith, and your deep thinking mind that was just like his. he felt very fierce about finding a man worthy of you. And David, you made him laugh, and he loved your brightness, your heart for God, and the way that you love our family. Dave the Brave, his athletic twin. Lukey, you were his baby bear, so like the big Papa Bear, in tenderness, passion, and loudness. He was so happy to see you become who God designed you to be, and he knew that you would fly. And he adored his nieces, Sarah and Taylor, and he was very proud of you both. You had his heart first. And his nephews, Nathan and Nick, his oldest nephews, he said many times that you were his other sons. He watched as you grew into man of conviction, strength, and faith. Aaron, you are a true lit boy. Uncle Erik loved that you looked and acted like him. And when your dad calls you Erik by mistake, hold your head up. And Oliver and Mercedes, he loved you and always prayed that God would bless your sweethearts. Not to mention the many, many young men that have been in my home this week, telling me as they cry in my arms, Mr. Litt was like a second father to me. And so many of my girlfriends, to whom he was a big brother, and his brothers at AA, who helped him walk through a really hard time, and to our many church families, not the least of which was his Bay Area staff, brothers and sisters. You were a balm to his soul for the last 2.5 years. He was my best friend, my true love, and my personal picture of Jesus' love for his bride. And on February 23rd, 2024, God wrote the final scene of his life on this earth. Erik had said all the things. He had lived all the lessons. He had repented of all the mistakes. He had loved all the people. He had poured his passionate heart into all the sons and daughters and friends. And it was enough. It was exactly right. He stood on that lake, aching for the beauty of God's kingdom, surrounded by love and fellowship and fun. And he breathed his last breath, and God said, and curtain. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Come home, son. I love you, E. You're my best.